All right, welcome to another great tutorial. I'm sure that it's super exciting. Anyways, we're going to be talking about blend shapes and just really quickly going over how to set up some blend shapes and yeah, and getting them hooked up into your rig. So right now on our rig, we've got a jaw control right here that is just controlling our jaw hinge right there. And what we want to do once we've got that set up is we want to add in some shapes for our mouth. So in fact, there will be a lot of mouth shapes and a lot of like facial features that you can set up using blend shapes and connect to controllers or attributes, whichever you decide or prefer. But to just go over kind of the tool set real quick that we're going to use and the methodology to get that set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a smile for our left and right side of our character. And we're going to split that up into two different blend shapes. So one that goes up and one that goes out. And then if we want to frown, then we would need another one that goes down for our blend shape. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the sculpting tools inside of Maya off of the sculpting panel right here. One of the things that you really need to check with your model is you need to make sure that your model is cleaned up and working well. So if you go in and you select that, right now, mine, if you read at the bottom here, sculpting cannot be performed on non-manifold geometry. Perform a mesh cleanup before using the sculpting tools. So hopefully your model is already cleaned up. This one, I just don't think it got cleaned up before it was handed off to me. So, but that's okay. We can go in and change that just underneath our modeling tool set. We can go to mesh, and there's a cleanup right there. And you can check all sorts of things on for it to fix tessellation and whatnot, but we're really just looking for this right here, non-manifold geometry, and we're just going to hit apply. So that will have taken care of that. Go get out of component mode. And the nice thing about that is it hasn't destroyed any of our weights or any of our skinning that we have on here, which is really nice. So now that we have that, we can use these tools on our model. But what we're going to do to create these blend shapes is we're going to open up our shape editor. So the shape editor is underneath Windows, Animation Editors, and Shape Editor. Now 2016 and 2017 Maya have added this functionality, and it's really actually really nice. Really beats a lot of other workflows that you used to have to do. They've kind of cleaned that all up. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll select our model, and we're going to create a blend shape. And we're going to call this blend shape our mouth blend shapes. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to add a target. Right? So instead of having to go in and duplicate, which you can still do, you can duplicate out your model and move it over and create a bunch of blend shapes, sculpt them, and then select all your blend shapes and selecting your base mesh last, and then you can create your blend shape, and that will do the same thing. But this, you can set up and start adding targets with the add target button. So with our mouth blend shape selected, we're going to click add target, and that automatically creates a new target, which is on our mesh right here. And you can notice we've got the edit highlighted. We can turn that off, turn it on, and right now it's on 100%. So we're actually going to name this the left mouth up. So we've got our left mouth up, and then what we'll do is we'll just go in and we're going to grab the grab tool here. And it's just like when you're painting weights or some of those other tools, the B key, if you press and hold B, and then click and drag on your screen, you can make your brush bigger or smaller. And then, of course, if you go into your tool settings, you can find other things along with symmetry. So if you were doing something, say Object X, you can notice there on the left side of our model, you'll see the dot that corresponds to where we're at on the right side. So whatever we were to do on one side, it would mirror on the other. So you can see if I pull that up, it happens on both sides. Okay, but for now, we really just want it on the one side. So we're going to turn that back off. We'll turn the strength up a little bit, and we'll make our brush a little bit big, and we're going to drag this side up. Just like this. We're all going to kind of drag this all up. So you have to remember when your mouth is moving, you know, not just one section is going to move. Like everything's going to move with it. Everything all around, they're all really connected. So for this, I'm just really roughly going to do this. Get these blend shapes in. Just to get a rough approximation. Yeah. So you also want to be aware of what's going to happen as stuff moves up. You know, this is flesh moving over bone. So, you know, stuff is going to bunch up. This is going to drive out. And this is going to push some of that skin back. As we move that up. It's going to kind of tighten that all up. So you can switch between your different brushes. And of course, if you hold Shift and hold that down and click, it's going to smooth it all down so you can get a little bit more uniform and smoothed out movement. And then unclick your Shift and you go right back into your other tools. So you can access the pinch tool, you can access your flatten tool, just any of these sculpting tools are here. Also, if you hold down, I believe it's Control, Control and click, and you can actually select some of the other tools that are right there just on a marking menu. So, okay, so we're going to say that this is good just for demonstration purposes. You'd probably go in and spend a lot more time to really just make this artistically beautiful and getting that all in there. But you can see we can turn that off and on now, and we can kind of see what is happening with our model. And make those changes and say, yay, we're happy with that, yay. Okay. So the great thing is, of course, we need this on our left side as well. So we can go in and select this and go underneath Shapes, and we can duplicate the target. So now we've got two of them. Obviously, we don't want them both on. And we can make sure when you start getting multiple blend shapes in here, you've really got to pay attention to which layer you're editing on. So we're going to change our edit over here, select our left mouth up copy that we made, and we're going to go underneath Shapes, and we're going to flip that target. Ta-da! And that gives us our right side now for free. So it's mirrored it over. You might have to do a little bit of cleaning up to get it how you want. And then, of course, we'll go in and rename this. We'll take off the copy that was appended and change that to the right. And we're happy with that. Cool. So look, we got both sides, which is great. We got the other side totally for free. And it beats a lot of workflows that used to be, that used to have to kind of go through to get this same result. And lots of other tools, but Maya has certainly upgraded in the recent years to give you a lot of flexibility with creating your blend shapes and creating them very quickly. And being able to use them and still be able to see what they do when you have a control on top of another control. So we can kind of see how that is looking even with this open. So which is really nice because you can continue to sculpt with other deformers on, with your skin cluster moving like this. So okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make our out position. So we'll add another target. And this automatically switches over to edit on that target. And we're going to call this the left mouth out shape. And then we're going to come back in here and we're going to sculpt that out. And I've turned off all of my other influences. And now I'm just going to make my brush bigger. And just grab this and pull it over. Maybe. Oh. There we go. I turned my strength down there. Whoops. So yeah, make sure that strength is up there and delete this extra one that I made. Drag that into the trash can. There we go. Okay. Rid of that. Edit this, and we're just going to start pulling that all over. Of course, we're going to get a lot of movement with the rest of the mouth, and this is going to start kind of squeezing back behind all of our skin and our bone there. It's going to wrap around. We've got a round skull and teeth, so those are going to start tucking back behind there. So do that, and then start making that kind of crease that happens and bunches as our mouth moves forward. So we'll start getting that shape pulled out. Push this further in. We'll just kind of smooth that. Okay, so again, you're going to play with this quite a bit, going back and forth and really sculpting out that shape to get to look really good. So when we're done editing, we have our left mouth out and our left mouth up. And we can blend those two together and we can start becoming additive. And then we get more of that natural smile, and we can have a lot of control over how we want that smile to be and have it really stretched out with just a little upturn like that, or not far out and a lot of upturn. So yeah, and then making sure that your blend shapes work well together, making sure that you're not getting a lot of different movement from one blend shape that mixes with another blend shape. Having up movement on our left mouth out shape would conflict with our left mouth up blend shape. So now that we've got that, of course, we want to get to our other side. So we'll take that and again go up to shapes in our shape editor and go to flip target. That would give us the other side, although I forgot to duplicate that first. So we'll do shapes, duplicate target, yay, and then we're going to select that last copy there and go shapes and flip target, and that gives us our other side there. Hooray! Okay, and then we'll rename that to the right mouth. We'll stick with capitals. All right. Let's see if caps lock on. Okay, so now you have these shapes, and that's great. That is what we want, and we just need to get an easy way to access it without having to bring up our blend shape. And obviously, as you make more and more blend shapes to get all the different facial poses that you would want and need in your rig, you could have this really long list of blend shapes that could be really troublesome to work through, and pulling up your shape editor and keying things would just be a nightmare. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some attributes on just our jaw control. So I've already got those set up, a right mouth up and down, left mouth up and down, right mouth, left, right, and left mouth, left, right. So to get the left, right, we would obviously want to make another blend shape that goes in, and to get the down, we would need another blend shape that goes down. But just for the sake of simplicity and working through things really quickly, to get just the basic idea down, we're just going to use these four here. So instead of creating another four, that would go in and down. So I've already created these. These are just float attributes we've named, and we've just got to link them up. So can use a set-driven key. All right, so I've just selected the mouth blend shapes. That gives access to all of these. I'll just select these in our channel box and go to edit and do a. Okay, so we'll set the left mouth up blend shape to 1, and then we're going to key that. And now we'll have this left mouth up down shape being driven by our attribute. Sweet. And then we're just going to go in and do the same thing with our other shapes. So we'll go to our right mouth up down right here, and we'll key that. And then we'll change that right mouth up down to 10, and right mouth up blend shape to 1, and key that there. And now that one's set up. And then now we'll go into our left mouth, left, right. Mouth out. And we'll key that. And we'll change that left mouth, left, right to a value of 10. And change the left mouth out blend shape to a value of 1. And we'll key that. be driven by that control. And now we just need to do it with our right mouth. Right mouth, left, right, with our right mouth out, blend shape. And we'll key that. And then we'll set that value to 10 and a right mouth out, blend shape to a value of 1. And we will key that. Okay? So all those now are set up. And then what we can do is we'll kind of want to clean that up a little bit going into our graph editor. Oh, I need a capital S. There we go. All right, we'll select that. Now that we have that selected, now we can go into our graph editor. Windows, animation editors, graph editor. Hooray! Okay, now with all of these, we really want linear tangents, so we're just going to switch those there. And then if we want to really get crazy, we can actually extend all of these out with a post-infinity or post-infinity offset right here, this one. There we go, post-infinity cycle with offset. So we'll select that, and now we could really go crazy, and this will take our blend shapes even farther past. We had even wanted them to go. Yeah, we really want that shape. So a lot of times at this point, you just kind of go in and say, you know what, it gets really ugly right about here. So I don't think I ever want to go past, say, a value of 25. So we put that in there. So we can go in and do an edit and edit the attribute. Left mouth up, down, and just say that, hey, this has a maximum of 25. We'll close that. So now you can't go past that value. We haven't set up our other one, so and then we could do the same and see where it starts looking bad on our left mouth out. And I think it's just, we've already locked it down to 15, which is probably fine. So with our left mouth up, like that. That's it. Pretty good. So yeah. So that's just a real general simple. So see, now that I've got the mouth open, I can see where all this geometry didn't get pulled over on these blend shapes, but I can go back at any time and open up that blend shape editor right here, and I can edit those shapes. So you can even edit while it's in this, but again, I really highly recommend making sure you're paying attention to which blend shape you are messing with when you're editing and sculpting, and making sure that all the other blend shapes are turned off. So we would go back in and turn this value off. And right, this is the one we actually want to edit. So we can actually just hit our smooth button to kind of help start pulling those in. And just massage those down and over. Okay. So yeah, so you just go through and really just be making a lot of edits. It is kind of a lot of back and forth, and you've really got to get into kind of a sculpting mode to get it all how you want it. Make sure that it's all deforming correctly. Inside of the mouth is moving with the outside, but it's already way better than it used to be. When you were working with this kind of stuff. So, in older versions of Maya. So, yay! Okay. So, I'm going to click off on the edit. Close that. And go back to that jaw control. Now we can see that working. Yay! There's that wonderful smile. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of the basics of it. There's kind of a lot more that it can get really a lot deeper into, but yeah, that's kind of the basics of it. So good luck. I hope that helps, and yeah, talk to you on the next one.